allowing me to flourish, not just survive, but thrive. This is really scary for me to share. To preface this, a little bit about my background. My upbringing was steeped in not the most secure, stable, or safe environment. Ours was rooted in a lot of generational trauma, and for me personally, a lot of abuse, physically, mentally, sexually. And that has been a very hard and heavy burden to carry throughout all these years. But I'm finally at a place now where I can really sincerely say that I don't want to give up. And that's something that was my default setting for so long of my life. I just wanted to give up. So at my worst, I wasn't leaving the apartment for I think like 3 or 4 months straight. The phone would ring from my loved ones just checking in. My immediate response was fear. Contemplating going to the grocery store, automatic fear. I just couldn't function, just doing basic things such as feeding myself or taking a shower, or it was debilitating. And if you've ever dealt with severe, intense depression, then you know what I'm talking about. It physically hurts on a molecular level, and mentally you're just not who you know you are. At another point, I was touring local news circuits, and on the exterior, I was delivering to my audience, smiling, happy, smiley face, but inside I was literally dying. You want to angrily just lash out at everyone and everything, especially yourself. And I think that's an indication of your growth and expansion when you reach the point where you are no longer blaming everyone. And that's something that's important to remember. Hurt people, healed people, heal people. And when you take accountability, and this is a quote that really helped me along my journey, is that your trauma, your abuse, your whatever it was not your fault. But it is definitely your responsibility to heal, to mend, to move forward, to inject that positive trajectory moving forward, so you're just not sitting in stagnant, disgusting water, because that wound will just continue to fester and worsen. So that's part of what this video is about today, to share concrete things that have really worked for me that have a positive impact moving forward. If there was one thing I could share with everyone out there, it would be to meditate. It has not only increased my intimacy with my husband, it has helped expand my mind in ways that I could never have comprehended before. It gives me an oasis that I can take with me anywhere, do anytime. And I cannot stress the importance of meditation enough. So I know a lot of people struggle with meditating. They're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Just sit there and like my mind is racing and it's really difficult for me to concentrate. So there's so many ways to combat that, different angles. You can put on your favorite music and just start there. Or you can try binaural beats, which helps kind of rein in your concentration. Or you can sit by the window when it's raining and just focus on the raindrops. Or you can just meditate to nothing. Or you can repeat a mantra to yourself. You are okay. You are okay. You are supported. You are loved. There's nothing to be afraid of. Everything will be okay. If you're struggling still, just return back to your breath. I know for me, when my anxiety flares up, the last thing I'm doing is taking conscious, very life-affirming deep breaths. I'm shallowly breathing. Sometimes I find myself just holding in my breath, and just deep breathing alone can calm your sympathetic nervous system. So rein it back to breath. So take a cleansing deep breath through your nose and let your belly expand, and hold your breath for like 2 or 3 seconds. And then blow it out with an audible exhale. And you're letting go of all the negativity. You can even visualize this as like a gray plume of smoke, and let your belly depress and tighten that core, and then hold it in for a couple seconds. And just doing this repeatedly over and over again will immediately soothe and calm you. So if I could ask you for a favor, pause this video and just try it. Give yourself 6, 10 breaths, however many you're comfortable with, and just give yourself some deep inhales and exhales, and just give yourself that moment. This moment is yours and no one can take it away from you. And just give yourself this moment, gift it to yourself. So one of the first things I started doing was keeping a gratitude journal. Counting your blessings is such a cliched thing, but when you focus on what there is to be grateful for, you almost rewire your brain to pick up on more of the positives, because the more you focus on the negatives, the more susceptible you are to notice the negative things. So on the contrary, when you focus on the positive aspects of life, which everyone always has something to be grateful for, then you pick up on more of that, and then you just notice more of that. And it can be as simple as the dark velvety scent of your morning coffee, that 5 minutes of peaceful bliss you have before your children wake up, or the beautiful view on the walk to work. I mean, it can be so trivial, but just taking that moment and holding that thought for seconds. Start with 5 seconds, then graduate to 10, and that itself is a meditation. And meditation has been life-changing for me. If you're susceptible to anxiety, you can do a walking meditation. And that is literally what it sounds like. Just take a short walk. Start small. So go on a 5-minute walk. If you're too afraid to go outside and leaving your house is a scary thought, start with your living room and just slow down. Notice how the carpet or the tile beneath your feet feel, and visualize how supportive the ground is. You can even go further and imagine your feet extending into roots and firmly rooting itself into the ground, so you feel physically and mentally that support system beneath you, cradling you, surrounding you with security and comfort and stability. To this day, I am not a gym rat. The concept of working out conventionally is not something that I'm very privy to, and it can be really overwhelming, especially when you're that depressed. The last thing you want to do is move your body and be active, but it's something to consider. It's free endorphins, and just movement of any sort. Just start small. Just take a little walk. Take your dog on a walk. And now we try to schedule at least 1 or 2 hikes every weekend, and that also fuses something else that has tremendously lifted me up out of this fog, which is being in nature. Nature is charged with negative ions, which sounds bad, but it actually positively influences you. And it's something about that fresh air, the sound of the wind rustling the leaves, the waves crashing. It's all very calming. There's a symbiotic relationship that is very reassuring that everything will be just fine. And sunshine, I can't stress that enough. Vitamin D is so important. And speaking of nature, growing things has been tremendously rewarding as well. Something about cultivating a little tiny sprout and tending to it and watching it grow and get strong and fruitful, it's definitely a direct metaphor to almost like the internal system inside of you. It makes you feel that you have the power to make good things grow. Another part of my journey has been talk therapy. And I really highly recommend getting a professional, objective standpoint. Talking to your friends is great, but it can quickly get selfish for you to just rely on your friends as a therapist. There's so many virtual options out there now, so you can do it in the comfort of your own home. I know on the island they do a sliding scale here at the clinic, and then we have so many psychotherapists that are available that may be eligible for your insurance. There's just so many options out there nowadays, so it's definitely worth looking into. Something my therapist once shared with me was that when you're having negative self-talk, pause and ask yourself, is it harmful or is it helpful? Is it even true? And go from there. A variety of plant medicine has helped me alleviate a lot of my stressors and helped me reframe, and that in itself is a whole nother video. So if you'd like to know more about that, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to make a video for you going more into detail about that. The concept of your second brain, which is your gut, is a fascinating one, and there's a plethora of information out there if you want to look into it. But I have noticed a significant increase in energy, vitality, and mental clarity when I eat lots of copious fresh produce. I'm lucky to live somewhere where we have a year-round growing season. I can grow my own, but lots of fresh living foods, high vibrational foods, has a direct correlation to where you are mentally as well. But speaking of research, that's another integral step that I've implemented. I love reading as much as I can, informational stuff I can get my hands on. Most recent book I'm still going through right now, but it's been tremendously helpful, is The Highly Sensitive Person. And this has really helped me address and pinpoint coping mechanisms, reframing, perspective, the root causes of why you have the disposition you do, and so forth. And it's really been eye-opening. So depending on what your own struggles are, there's probably a book for that. There's probably a YouTube video for it. There's probably an informational session or seminar you can attend. We are in the age of information, technologies at our fingertips. I read once that there's really no excuse to not know and be well read about something that you're even remotely interested in, because we have so much accessible to us. Release is often very overlooked, but it can be so instrumental. One of the ways my husband and I like to do this collectively is we'll go boxing together. We just installed a boxing bag actually at our house, so I'm really excited about that. A personal favorite of mine is having a good, long, intense cry. I create a full moon ritual that if you're interested in, that I can definitely create another video on. And journaling, that's something that's really helped me through this COVID-19 crisis. I had a lot of feelings and big emotions welling up. Rather than dumping it out externally, I again attended within and just journaled it all out, which helped significantly alleviate my stress. I really hope that this video was helpful for some of you. There is a wealth of resources out there between alternative holistic approaches. Acupuncture is something I'm really interested in that I haven't dove into. Hypnosis is very intriguing to me. Thing is, nothing changes, nothing changes. So you have to start somewhere, and like I said, just start small with baby steps. Build upon those baby steps. The foundation you build can take as long as you need, as long as you build it.